Welcome to the Sisters in Service podcast. My name is Kat Cortado, also known as the voice connecting women veterans nationwide. This podcast is for anyone connected with the military, from veterans, male and female, military spouses, military brats, even parents who may have children who are in the military. As an Air Force veteran, I understand the trials and triumphs that women veterans go through in service and out of service. And so I wanted to find a way that I could put it out there into the airwaves and let everyone know what we're going through and find a way and a solution to what's happening to us in the service. I also like to highlight these women who are business owners, they're entrepreneurs, they're bosses in their business. And so I hope that you will follow me, you will share, and you will subscribe to this podcast, which comes out every week on Tuesdays. And as always, please stay safe, take care of each other until next time. And it's never too late to start your impossible. Welcome, Sisters in Service, to another episode of, you know what this is, Sisters in Service, and you know who I am. I'm Kat Cortado. And my guest today is Meghann Trapp. And you're probably saying, okay, I'm not sure who she is, but listen to this, y'all. She is an Air Force veteran. She is an entrepreneur of Deadlift Diva. Yeah, we're going to speak about that too. And also Meghann Trapp Coaching. She is the co-author of an internationally best-selling book called She Did It. And she's also a speaker about mental health, PTSD, and other issues within the veteran community. So Meghann, hi.
Hi.
She's like, hi. So we're so glad to have you here today.
Thank you. Super glad to be here.
Yeah. So usually I ask about military service, but you did something really badass prior to being a military. I was like, well, why did she leave that to do the military? So for those of you that are listening, Meghann was a firefighter and EMT before she went in the military. So Meghann, just give our audience a little insight into, was this something you always wanted to do, or did you say, that looks really cool, I want to do that?
It was kind of more than that looks really cool. People always are like, how did you get into firefighting? And I'm like, I don't really know. I just, I think I knew deep down when I was done with high school, I just knew like college was not the right answer for me. I hated high school because I was just so bored.
Right.
I was definitely capable, but I didn't want to be there. And so after I got done with high school and graduated, I was finding myself, right? And I went and worked, tons of jobs and had really cool experiences and moved around a little bit, but woke up one day, I was like 24 and a half. I'm like, what am I doing in my life? All my friends are graduating college and getting married. And, and I think that pressure from society of feeling like you have to have it all figured out in your 20s, which
no one does.
But that's just the stuff that, I think the box that society puts us in. And I had uncles that did it and guy friends that were firefighters and had been in the fire department service, the public safety. And I one day was like, you know what, I'm going to be a firefighter. And so I started looking into, I was in Colorado, which is where I'm from, and was looking into, okay, what do I need to do to start my path? There's a lot of stuff you have to do, and most states require you to be an EMT. So I knew I had to get at least my EMT and figure out how to do that. So yeah, I went and actually went out to Illinois, where my aunt and grandparents are living, and she's like one of the highest board certified in the state of Illinois for she's been a paramedic for years, flight paramedic, teaches all the EMT courses.
Wow. So she's kind of a big deal. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, she is. She's also very smart, very knowledgeable in the medical world and the EMS world. And, so if I stayed home in Colorado, even the colleges, it was like $3,500 to take an EMT course.
Wow.
I was like, how am I going to pay for that? And so my dad reminded me that, it's his sister. And that's what I did. I put my stuff in storage and I just hopped a train out to Illinois and stayed with family who I had 20 years and started taking classes. And then came back to Colorado and started applying to fire departments. Got on with Franktown Fire, which is south of kind of in between Denver and Colorado Springs. And I started as a volunteer and then of course went paid on call and did other stuff. And after a couple of years, I had an ex-boyfriend who had been a cadet at the Air Force Academy and was like, oh, you should totally join. And yeah, I was like,
Oh, yeah. Okay, fine. Let me see
So I
what
was
this
like,
is
well, let me
about.
talk to the recruiter, but I was kind of like, whatever, and so I went in and I was like, listen, I'm 27 years old. Um, like I'm not doing this unless I get the job that I want.
Right.
And so he was like, well, I can't guarantee you that, but I'll do my best. And it worked out that way. So yeah.
So what job did you get in the Air
I
Force?
got firefighter.
Wow.
Yeah.
So before you went into the military, is it you have, when you're a firefighter, you're also an EMT, so they're not mutually exclusive? Or does it depend on most of the state?
It depends on more rural might be a little bit different, but even as a volunteer, typically most departments require you to have that just because sometimes as firefighters, you're the first one on scene, right? But EMS may not be able to be there first to an accident or a medical call or trauma or whatever, right? And same thing, even in a fire, if you're going in and rescuing people, we're the first ones on scene. So you have to know, being an EMT, it's EMT basic. EMT,
Right.
it's kind of, of course, medical stuff is always changing.
Yeah. CPR and all that other stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
right. You have to know the basic life-saving skills because you're probably the first one there as a firefighter. Even if you have a privatized ambulance, like your district is in, it doesn't matter. Typically that's how it's been. And that's what everybody went to kind of at the time. And this was 2006 when I first started. Of course, it's changed a lot since then, but for the most part, yeah. And then they have some fire departments have their own ambulance companies. So they'll hire specifically firefighter paramedics or firefighter EMTs that will ride on the ambulance, but they're also a firefighter. So it just kind of depends on the mix up.
Yeah. My father-in-law was a firefighter.
Very cool.
Yeah. And he tells me this story about how he wasn't the driver, but apparently the driver was unavailable for whatever reason. He had to drive a fire truck.
Oh my God.
And he said he took out a few poles with him. So, and it was a brand new truck. I was like, oh my God. I've seen those things. I've seen people, like, I'll see them backing it into the firehouse. And I stand and watch because I have a hard time backing my own car into a parking spot. And they're parking this huge, massive machine. Like it's just, okay, done.
That was part of our upgrade.
You had to learn, all of you guys had to learn how to do it. Oh, good Lord.
I'm certified not only as a fire, I came in and it was funny because the Air Force is much more, they don't, it's not like a civilian department where you could stay riding tailboard for your whole career, 20 years in the fire service and just be the nozzleman or the hydrant man or,
Yeah, see, that'd be me. I just want to pour the water. I just want to do the water.
I'm an adrenaline junkie. I'm like, let's go in, right? And so when they were like, oh yeah, part of your upgrade training, you get to your first duty station, and that's like the Air Force has upgrade training, and you 3 level, 5 level. It's how you get trained. And so they were like, yeah, you have to get your driver operator. And I'm like, what? I don't want to be an engineer. Are you insane that all those people's lives are in my hands and I got to know the calculations on the hose and how much water I'm flowing? I mean, it is a lot of information. It's not just driving the truck. I mean, it's intense and you're operating like
it's almost like you have to kind of know everybody else's job too, just in case you have to fill in.
And I think, at the time I was like, I did not sign up for this.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to drive the truck. I didn't want to do all this other stuff.
Like, I just want to fight fire. What? But, looking back on it, the Air Force is phenomenal at setting us up for success if we stay in or if we get out. I mean, that translates over into civilian, even though civilian, being a firefighter, you still have to test, you have to do all this stuff, right? You can't go jump on a fire department because of all the experience you have. But it made me such a more well-rounded firefighter as well as, an airman. And then, of course, putting on NCO when I became staff sergeant, it made me understand and appreciate the job so much better because you literally rotate through every single position on that fire truck or that, the ambulance or whatever. I mean, you're learning all of those job skills, not just being, on the nozzle and being in the heat of the moment of the fire, being on a rescue crew and rescuing your victims. You're learning all of it.
Yes.
So it definitely came in handy later on down the road in my career.
So I know that you, in the military, you were in Kuwait, and while you were there, you speak about being sexually assaulted while you were there.
Yep.
Can you give us a little backstory? I mean, you don't have to tell us the whole part of it, but what was so you go over to Kuwait and you're thinking what? Like you get there and your first thought is, holy crap, where am I at?
Hot. I mean, we got there in July, and I
Oh
was
my
like,
goodness.
I'm gonna die. I mean, it was 125 our first day in country.
Wow.
125
Yeah.
degrees, and I was like, this is insane. I mean, if anyone who's been knows, and you think, oh, if you've been to Iraq or Afghanistan, you're like, oh, it's the Middle East, it's all the same. It's not. Kuwait is literally one of the hottest places
Ever.
and I don't understand why. I'm like, why? I mean, yes, it's hot. Again, it's hot in Afghanistan, it's hot in Iraq, Jordan, Syria, all those countries.
But then there's hot, and then there's hot.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm, what is it, Raiders of the Lost Ark, where the guy's face is melting off?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah.
And it's crazy. And then our job as a firefighter, you have to be like and then there was fires breaking out all when we got there, like dumpster fires and stuff, because it was so
hot. Yeah.
And the stuff that they use to build the barriers or the structure equipment, and like one of the hydraulic lines burst. I mean, it's insane. It's like, so yeah, I got there and I'm like, what is this, But going in, I thought I told myself, oh, this is going to be a cake deployment. It's Kuwait. You have a pool. You've got a movie theater on base. You've got, it's not everyone's like, oh, it's not a real deployment. It's Kuwait.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's fake, which we just laugh about.
Right.
We're like, okay, whatever. But,
so how soon after you got there did the sexual assault happen?
I got there in July, and it happened basically October. So, early. I had gotten involved with another NCO. I mean, I was an NCO myself, and didn't force everybody. If you've been in the military for any kind of time, you just know that deployments and dating, it doesn't work because you're from different bases. It can work. Not saying that it can't, because I know couples that have. They've been on deployment and went on to get married, but it's very challenging. It's challenging alone to date in the military and get married, but on a deployment, it makes it that much more challenging. So I had no intention of any of that, and I met this guy, and he really pursued me. He started showing up at the fire department all the time, wanting to hang out, and like when I would be on duty and stuff. And I found out that he had lied about being married. I mean, I found out through social media, and I was furious and confronted him about it. And he still continued to lie, like, oh, we're separated. Oh, we're, and then got the truth out. So I said, don't ever talk to me again. I cut complete ties with him.
But did it freak you out that he was everywhere you were at the same time?
After that, what happened is he was in the rotation before me, so I knew he was going home. So that was kind of like, okay, at least that part's better, right? I have to stay the whole deployment with him. I thought, yeah, we're on a deployment. I started seeing some very creepy things, red flags, and because he got obsessed, he freaked out, and started like his friends were my friends and started even accusing them of sleeping with me or hooking up with me because
Lord.
He was nuts. He would interrogate them, and they were like, dude, you're first of all, you're married, so why do you care?
Why do you care, right?
He was showing up everywhere I was going. And the final weekend, they were supposed to leave on a Monday, and that's the weekend. The first night was in a crowded movie theater there was 4 officers sitting behind us when he physically assaulted me. And then the next night, because I was really good friends with his roommate, and that's when the sexual assault occurred. And I was horrified. I was so scared of him because of his behaviors. I'm like, this guy is going to kill me if I come forward while he's still here in the AOR. And the chaplain, luckily I had an amazing chaplain who I was confiding in all this time. And he even was like, this is concerning me for your safety.
Yes.
And so I said, I trust me. I promise I'm going to come forward, but I want him
gone first. Absolutely.
Forward until he was stateside.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah. And I, just the way that I was treated, even by one of the head chaplains, who was a former security forces guy, the stuff that he said to me was appalling. One of the things he brought up was, well, why didn't you come forward then? And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Excuse me. I mean, it was just, I had to stay there. They did the investigation, OSI. I mean, it was serious.
What was your
I
mindset going through all that? Were you kind of floating? And I don't mean floating through it as in,
We're just kind of detached.
airheaded, but yeah, kind of detached, like you're watching yourself go through these motions. Is that how it felt for you?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was so not myself. I was just, I was a mess, and just so much, which is insane, right? But that's what everyone does, I think, for the most part. You put so much guilt and shame on yourself.
On yourself.
And, the guys that I worked with, they didn't really know what was going on, but some of them were being brought in to be questioned, like, the interaction between me and this guy, because, they'd seen him. He'd been hanging out with me for a period of time. And it just, I mean, it's embarrassing too, because it's
Yes.
like, here, I'm supposed to be, I'm an NCO, I'm a firefighter, which is a male-dominated career field, and I would flip out about stuff. I mean, I'm dealing with the stress of the deployment alone is enough, right?
Right.
I was NCOIC of logistics and of the 911 dispatch operations center, two huge jobs.
Yes.
They combined them into one position. Very stressful. I mean, I had the airmen I was in charge of, working for me in dispatch. So I had to make sure that they were, following the schedule and following, anything, right? And any big kind of emergency, I had to have a phone on me at all times. I'd have to go in.
But that's a huge load on top of everything else.
Right, exactly. So I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with my job position. I'm dealing with the investigation. I'm dealing with my own, how do I even deal with being assaulted? I'm away from home. I'm completely traumatized. I'm angry. My emotions are all over the place. And I was going to school to finish my degree. I was in my last class. I mean, looking back, I'm like, I don't even know how and I was dealing with injuries too. I had a torn rotator cuff. I had a broken tailbone. I mean, they kept me there for the entire deployment. And to me, it was mind blowing. It was like, there is so much going on. Why am I even here? Is it really that necessary? Am I that important to this mission?
Right.
You guys, and when I came home and, years down the road, and I've stayed in touch with a lot, especially luckily I had phenomenal leadership at the time. My fire chief, my direct supervisor, that knew, because I let them know what was going on. My commander, I mean, they were wonderful. They were 100% supportive. They did whatever they could to be there for me and to let me know.
Well, thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine if you didn't have them on your side. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster.
Unfortunately, that's what happened when I came home. My own command is what was the downfall of my career.
Oh my goodness, I spoke too soon.
Yeah. And it's, and it's crazy because I looked back on it and I was like, because that was one of the things. And I was like, wow, I was so blessed in that moment to have such great leadership in the midst of the investigation and in the deployment. And, I would tell them when I come home, like, I'm so sorry. Like, that person was not me. That's not who I am. And they're like, you have nothing to apologize for. You were going through so much.
Right.
They were awesome. And these guys wrote, character reference letters for me a year and a half later when all the stuff was going on at home. And, so these were wonderful, just phenomenal leaders and great at their job. So I had all that. It was still kind of ongoing when I got home. I had a SVC, a Special Victims Counsel, assigned to me, a lawyer, through the Air Force. Came home, and I think it kind of, the investigation was kind of on the tail end, but it was still ongoing. And it was hard because the main shift had gone, okay, let's get all this stuff in and get you prepared, because I needed to go in and get my shoulder checked out. And I needed, ended up having to have surgery and all the stuff that I had to do, just a lot of things that my assault kind of took the back seat. And it ended up that he ended up being protected by his leadership. It was a command-directed investigation, and they completely swept it under the rug. I mean, this guy, he only got charged with physical assault and adultery, refused to charge him with sexual assault. So they gave him the article what is it, 128 and 130, whatever, adultery, I think it's 130 or 136. Anyway, they charged him with that. His commander, just, and it was just infuriating. It was such a slap in the face. And then they came back and had the nerve to say, well, what would you like to see as a punishment? And I'm thinking, why are you even asking me at this point? Because you aren't even charging him with sexual assault.
I would have had a laundry list. I'm like, here you go. I would have flipped it out.
I knew my stuff, and I knew that he had made tech sergeant. He had made E6.
Oh, they allowed him to make rank.
Well, no, he had made it before he came.
Got it.
But I knew that when he put it on, it was his last time testing. Like if he hadn't have made it that time, he would have been out higher tenure. And I remembered that from my time with him. And I was like, that's the key to get him out. So I said to my lawyer, I said, let's push for a demotion because he'll be demoted back down to staff sergeant, higher tenure. They have to kick him out. A goal accomplished. This person should not be in the military. He's a predator. He does not align with the Air Force core values.
Right. And this happened in 2016.
Yeah.
Good grief. Okay.
So mind you, I come home. It's in the height of the Me Too movement too. And it was insane to me. It was like, this is like big everywhere in the civilian sector. And yet this is what's going on in our military. So I pushed for the demotion thinking, great, he'll get kicked out. He will have no longer be, in the military and be serving.
Tell me it worked.
And nope.
They allowed him to keep his rank.
His JAG came back and said, well, the commander went ahead and just decided to do without even waiting for me to get back to him. But he decided to demote him with a suspension to protect him from being dishonorably discharged or, higher tenure, right? So we're going to demote you for 6 months. And if you're on good behavior, you'll get your rank back in 6 months. That's what happens.
So during this time, so after that happens, what kind of mind frame were you in after that? Because there's this, you're in the midst of it, and then all of a sudden it's over. Where were you mentally in that, after it's over and you're in this space? What did that feel like?
It was like it was a joke. I mean, it was, and anyone who served, and I mean, even when I came in January of 2009, and I had, anyone that knows, you have it beat into your head from day one. There's a zero tolerance policy for sexual assault within the military. Mental health is our number one priority. We care about our airmen and soldiers and Marines and sailors and, all that stuff. You get briefed on it, just the PowerPoints and the crap that they shove in your head and your ears, wherever, just, in one ear or the other.
Right.
Every single month or every quarter, pretty much all the time.
You got to go these briefings. Oh, it's mandatory briefing on whatever. And you're like, seriously?
Basic training, even like, okay, your first, this is not acceptable in the military and we don't allow this and it's an open door policy. And when it's all said and done, it's basically like a CYA for them. That is what it felt like. And obviously I can't put the blanket statement on every single leadership or command or every person in the military, the entire Air Force as a whole, or the entire DOD as a whole.
But you hear this story all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the time.
Even different services.
Yes.
It sounds like the same. I've heard this story before.
Exactly. And, that was my point. It was like, you guys sit here and jam this in. It's mandatory. You say that you take this stuff seriously. And then when it happens, look how you handle it.
Right.
Look at Vanessa Guillen.
Yeah.
And it's disturbing. It's beyond disturbing. And so I was a mess. I was just, you want to talk about rage and anger. And I couldn't, I was ready to snap at any moment. And when I mean snap, I would drive. I had horrible road rage. I was ready to get out of my car and fist fight people that cut me off. That's how much anger I had going on all the time.
That makes sense. Yeah.
For me at all. And it got worse because of what started happening with my leadership. I was forced to go to therapy. It was part of my treatment plan. I was ordered to go to mental health and have those discussions. And this was, later, kind of like end of summer 2017. And I went to my leadership because my guard, I was guard at the time. I'd gone from active duty to guard. I, from Colorado, was living there, had just bought a house when I came back. So that was a huge milestone. It was kind of a big thing. My first time buying a home, it was awesome. But I couldn't even really enjoy it because all this other stuff was going on. And I was working up in Cheyenne. Cheyenne is 117 miles from where I lived, from Denver.
Whoa.
So they put me on active duty orders. They call them MedCon orders, medical continuation, because, you're guard. So it's a little bit different than active duty. I was forced to report up there. Everything was in Denver, and my MTF was Buckley Air Force Base, which is 26 miles from me in Colorado. So my doctors, my primary care doctors there, my surgeon was in Denver, my physical therapist was in, basically Lakewood, where.
So let's see how hard we can make this for her.
Right.
Jeez.
And yes, I chose that, but obviously I live there. Why would I choose to have all my appointments and my stuff up in Cheyenne?
Right.
And so I would try to get I would have to cram all of my appointments into a Monday and then go drive up there Monday night, stay in a hotel from Tuesday to Friday, and then come back down. And if it was a drill weekend, I had to stay through the whole weekend for drill. So mind you, it's not just that. How much money were these people wasting on paying me gas mileage, hotel? I mean, it was crazy to me. And so I finally approached my command and said, because my medical continuations orders came from Randolph Air Force Base out of Texas. And I talked to the AFRC there, and they were awesome. My case manager, they were like, we're going to extend you another 8 weeks. Because I didn't understand at the time that part of my treatment plan was actually going to therapy, because my treatment plan consisted of, yes, like getting help for the shoulder, having the surgery, doing physical therapy. But that's the other thing. Like, you were assaulted on a deployment, you need to be in therapy.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, so simple misunderstanding. I was like, okay, started going into therapy. And that's why they extended my orders, because they wanted to allow me time to continue treatment. And so I went to and I asked my case manager, I said, what are the requirements for these orders? Do I have to be, going to Cheyenne for this and working there? And they were like, no, if you can work it out with your leadership. And I said, okay, because I was thinking if I can work at Buckley and finish my orders there, it's 26 miles from my house.
Right. Which is better than Cheyenne, 100 something. Yeah. That just doesn't even seem right.
Yeah, I'm sure they could use my help, because not only was I a firefighter at that time, I had actually cross-trained into Med Evac. So I was a 4.0, I was a medic, I was a flyer. And I was like, I know Buckley because I go there all the time. And I know these people are always, like, their appointments are so backed up because they don't have enough medics. They don't have enough med techs. And I said, I can guarantee that they would probably love to have me in there helping out, and it would help me out to not, plus I'm saving my unit money by not having to come up here. And so I approached my fire chief once I had the approval, and he was like, yeah, let's set up a meeting with the commander. And if I don't have a problem with it. If she's, you need to have something in place, like a plan and like who you're going to report to. And those, of course it's military. They want details. So I approached the flight chief for the med group at Buckley. She was like, let me push it to my leadership. And she was like, I don't see why that would help, that would help us out. And I said, right, they're struggling for med techs. So she got it approved. She was like, you'll report to me. You can give them my information. I had everything set up. I requested a meeting. And then all of a sudden I come back from lunch one day, and my fire chief and my, he's a senior NCO, the girl in charge of my LODs. She was med group, but she was the one that processed all of your line of duty determinations.
Right.
Guard, anytime you're injured in the line of duty, she handled all of that. So they show up at, she was down at the fire station, which was like unheard of. So I knew something was up, and I had just come back from lunch, and they were like, so, we went and met with the commander, and I'm like, wait, what? Because I had specifically asked, this is my meeting. I'm the one that approached you with this idea, and it's me. I have to advocate for myself.
Right.
They went ahead and just had the meeting without me.
And decided what?
I decided, nope. And you're going to switch all your appointments up here to Cheyenne. And I was like, what? First of all, no. excuse my language, hell no. you know, you are not going to force me. Why? That makes no sense. I live in Colorado. I'm not, you guys are not coming in here and trying to tell me. And I can't get around the fact that my surgeon is my surgeon. So long story short, I requested to meet with the commander because I told my chief, I said, I'm kind of at a loss for why I wasn't in this meeting when I requested it. And I would like some feedback as to why the answer was no. And he was like, sure. He didn't care. I mean,
right.
He was never around the station anyway. And he was like, yeah, go set up a meeting with them. And I was like, all right. So I go in and I show up and I have like my first sergeant, the group first sergeant, my group commander, not my squadron commander, but my group commander. And I'm like, what are all these people doing here? I requested a meeting with the commander, not my entire chain of command. Like, right. What is going on? And she had been my squadron commander for Air Evac. So she knew me personally. She knew me very well before she became
that helps. Commander. That helps.
And I thought I have a great relationship with this woman. She approved me to take a contracting job as a firefighter in 2015 to leave for a year to go work because her husband was a firefighter. So I'm thinking, okay,
You have an ally.
Nope. Went in and I told her, she said, okay, well, I've heard from everybody else, before this, obviously, and just kind of want to hear from you, like what your thoughts are and like what, why you were requesting this things. And I told her exactly how I told everyone else. And her answer was, we don't care. This is your wing. This is your unit. You're going to work here. You're going to come up here. We have work for you to do here. And it was like, I'm sorry, what? These people, in that moment, it was like, it became very clear that these people did not care about my well-being.
No.
They did not care about my mental health.
No.
Because I was like, I am not doing well. Like, I'm asking you guys for help.
Now, did you eventually go to mental health?
I had already been, at that point, I had already.
So you were already done. You were done at that point?
I wasn't done. I was ongoing, which was why they wanted to continue the orders.
Now, did it help? Did it help you? Or did you find something else that helped you more? That
did, but because I did have a great, I actually ended up transferring to Buckley's mental health at the time. I was seeing a civilian therapist who didn't really understand the intricacies of the military. And they were really bullying her and bullying me to like turn over my entire record, which was a HIPAA violation. It was crazy, the stuff these people did. So I ended up finding something, finding NLP really was what I found and finding.
So you found NLP in 2019. Well, you didn't found it, but you discovered it for yourself. Yeah. So explain to our audience what neuro-linguistic, I can't even say it. I'm trying to put a little twang on it. Neuro-linguistic. See, I did it again. Neuro-linguistic programming is. What is it? And why did it help you? Why do you think it helped you?
So I'll back up just a tiny bit. In 2015 is when I had formed my fitness brand, Deadlift Diva. I was a PTL in the Air Force. Being a firefighter, you have to be extremely fit, in shape. Fitness was just a huge part of my life. I loved it, had a huge passion for it. So when I created, it was an online business, and I didn't know anything about anything when it came to online business. And that's the people that I ended up meeting just through that avenue of being an online entrepreneur, that's what they call themselves. And that's what I am now. But meeting these people who are just incredibly knowledgeable and skilled at, running a business from online. And I'm talking, they're entrepreneurs. They're 6-figure, 7, 8-figure businesses and they're traveling the world and working from a laptop. So of course that idea was very appealing. Like, hello, okay. So I had started Deadlift Diva, and that's how I started meeting all these amazing people in my network, going to masterminds. I came home. I started reading Tony Robbins' book while I was deployed, Awaken the Giant Within. And that kind of planted the seed. So when I came home and was going through all of this, 2018 was rough. They kicked it into high gear. They started coming after me hard, my chain of command. I fought back. They didn't like that. I ended up losing everything. It was like the rug was pulled out underneath, from underneath me. I had 10 years in. I was halfway through nursing school to transition as a flight nurse and become an officer. And that was it. My career was over. No longer, I didn't get retirement. I didn't have firefighting, it was like I lost everything all at once. Everything. I mean, I was military firefighter of the year. I had, Air Force achievement medals. I had an Air
Till you
Force
fight back. Till you
for
fight
that
back, and then
deployment.
they're like,
Oh, they were, she's emotionally unstable. She's a scumbag firefighter and an NCO. And I'm like, where?
I have the proof right here.
Right. It was horrific. And so because I had those people kind of in place in my life already from meeting them through, I went to a Tony Robbins event in 2017. And so 2019, it was just a couple months. It was March-ish of 2019. And when I say I hit rock bottom, I did. And I was even in denial about my mental health. I had one foot on the ledge of suicide. And I still kind of even lied to myself about it because I was like, well, I'm not as bad as, I'm not out here planning my suicide.
Right.
I'm not like giving my stuff away and like, this is how I'm going to do it. But I couldn't get out of bed. I would lay in bed every day with my dog and just wishing that I would die, wishing I'm like, God, just come down and take me off the earth. I'm done. I don't want to be here. I give up. And to have those thoughts as a very, very hardworking, dedicated, motivated, I was the only female in my fire department pretty much everywhere I went. And kicked ass at what I did because I did have to prove myself, even though they always said I didn't. I had to.
You had to.
They'll eat you.
Whether they say you don't have to or not, you do. You just do.
Because I was always being judged. There was always people in my business. Especially on active duty, everybody knew me as the female firefighter. That was
right.
Oh, you're the female firefighter. Like, I have a name, But, I got to that point where I felt worthless. I felt like I'm nothing without those things. And I had a friend who I'd met on one of these masterminds that I went to in Orlando. And just the previous fall before, it was like September of 2018. And she's from Nova Scotia. And she has, she's like, their stuff is similar to ours, but I think she had like a master's in social work and very much trauma, domestic violence, works with those kinds of patients. So she and I really connected when she heard my story, of course. And it was right after she had been in Colorado for an event. And she messaged me and she said, Meghann, I just finished she had taken NLP Practitioner, and she was like, this course changed my life. You need to go. And I was like, nothing can help me at this point.
Right.
I was so skeptical and cynical. I'm like, yeah, okay.
So did you think of it as this is your last chance to did you kind of think of it that way?
Oh, yeah. I was like, well, what do I have to lose? I have nothing else,
right.
And so she put me in touch with her mentor, and the person who runs the program. His name is Scott Jackson. And I reached out to him. She introduced us. And because I was local, it was perfect. He's up in Boulder, Colorado. I'm in Denver, basically. And so we scheduled a lunch that week, and I met him and kind of just told him a little bit about myself. And he was like, yeah, I absolutely can help you, and it's going to change your life. And it was hard because it was a huge investment. It was like a $6,000 course.
Yeah, that's pretty steep.
Whoa! But I think part of it too is I had just a year and a half prior had taken Tony Robbins' event, which was also a huge, his business mastery. And that's one of the things you learn is looking at a price tag on something like, that initial shock. Whoa, that's a lot of money, but that's an investment in
investing in. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah.
And it gets you primed and kind of understanding, like, if you're that serious, you have to be that serious. Like, that it's not just about the money. Like, yeah, okay, but it's not like I'm going to a casino and blowing $5,000 and going, or
right.
Going on a shopping spree.
Ooh, $6,000 shopping. That's quite a bit of shoes.
Right.
I'm
It's
just
like
saying.
I went to Rodeo Drive and I'm like, Louis Vuittons and stuff.
Right.
It's this investment in you. And I had just a phenomenally insane transformation. When I say like insane, I had physical ailments still because I had broken my tailbone on that deployment too, and they had never really
addressed it
about it. Right. Because they're like, well, it's a tailbone. We can't. I had fallen and had a compression fracture in the gym because somebody had left weights out and I tripped over them. And because I was so fit at the time, and even once I healed from my shoulder surgery, I was like really, really well, I was training at a gym and, just started teaching classes like crazy all the time. And so end of 2018 into 2019, I woke up and it was scary. I mean, I thought I was paralyzed. I couldn't move because I had overcompensated for a little too long, but also because that was at the height of my mental like trauma really coming out with
they kind of collided.
And people, it's interesting because people still kind of don't correlate. Like our physical health is 100% tied to our mental and emotional health.
Yes.
If we have trauma that we're carrying in our body, it affects us physically. I mean, disease is dis-ease.
Dis-ease, yes.
And that is what I learned in NLP. So I go to this course. It's practitioner, NLP practitioner. I learn hypnosis. I learn about, the 5 major negative emotions and releasing those emotions. And when I say like I had a physiological reaction, I was under hypnosis because we have to do it to each other, our partner, because that's stuff that I have to go through because I have to be able to teach, my client or coach them. You go through it yourself, so you really understand it. And when I was coming out, the first major negative emotion is anger. And it's no surprise for me that was a big one, right? I mean, when I told you some of the stuff, like the anger that I had. And when I released a lot of those, you go through kind of like your life as a timeline. So you're looking at past, present, future, and you release events. You're able to have a different takeaway from it. Your perception is changed around especially traumatic events like what I've been through. And I was releasing anger. We cleaned up all this stuff, and I was coming up out of hypnosis, and I started getting sick. The whole room started spinning. And
you're detoxing, like, girl.
What is going on? And I was like, I'm going to throw up.
Yes.
And I was like spinning. I had my eyes closed and I'm in hypnosis, but
oh, wow.
Getting ready to come back up from hypnosis. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my son, like nausea, just all of the stuff, right, associated with it. And I came to, and my mentor was paying attention because I had he had to help my partner because, I had, especially having the trauma that I had. So he kind of jumped in on a few things. And so he was paying close attention, and he said he could kind of tell something was going on. He was like, Meghann, what's going on? How are you feeling? How do you feel? And I said, well, I feel amazing. I just released all this stuff, but I feel sick. Like I was coming up and the room started spinning. I feel nauseous. I feel dizzy. I feel like I'm going to throw up or I'm going to pass out or I don't know. And he was like, he kind of chuckled and he said, yeah, you've been holding on to like 24 years of
stuff. Trauma. Yeah.
I mean,
that would make you a little dizzy, a little upset stomach type of thing. Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, and then you go on to the other ones, right? Well, the next morning I came in for the course. It was my partner's turn. I was getting to be the coach and she was going to be the client. And I said, I just wanted to share with you guys, I have absolutely zero tailbone pain. That whole class, you're sitting. I mean, yeah, you're moving a little bit, but we're sitting on chairs and we're, sitting and I had to keep shifting constantly because of the pain. And I said, my pain is totally gone right now.
So, it's amazing how stuff like that manifests in your body, isn't it though? Because, being in the fitness realm like you are, when people come in and they say, oh, I'm thinking about going to orthopedic surgeon because of my shoulder. And I said, if I can show you how to correct your posture, maybe you won't need the surgeon. And they're like, no, it's been hurting me forever. And I was like, just give me a little time, So it's funny you said that. So you become this practitioner. Is this what your coaching, the Meghann Trapp Coaching, incorporates also?
Yes.
So what kind of clients do you take? Who's a good client for you?
I thought in the beginning that my ideal clients would be more females because obviously typically with assault and with rape and all those things that typically more women, not saying that there aren't men. I've actually had quite a few men reach out to me after I started sharing my story publicly. And I thought that was kind of and I did. I definitely attracted more female clients to, it makes sense, right? But I've seen and kind of things, you always evolve, you always change, and you never really know what path it can take you. I mean, you have the idea, but I would say definitely kind of even opened up more to where it's like veterans and, those suffering from PTSD, whether it be from combat or assault or So it's definitely it changes over the years. I think that's really, I mean, the crazy thing and the amazing thing about NLP is it can help anyone. Some people might be coming in for, like, okay, I'm the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and I want my team and me to hit X amount of dollars this year. NLP, that's their goal. But that's the thing that's amazing, is that you may come in for one specific goal or one specific outcome. It changes your entire life because you apply it to one of the areas of your life.
And it applies to almost all of it. Yeah.
Yes. It's going to have a positive impact on your relationships with your spouse or your kids or your family. You're going to have, it's going to affect your spirituality. It doesn't matter if you're, a religious person or just a spiritual person. I mean, it just overall, it affects what we call the 6 pillars of life. Mm-hmm. Because you're changing your perception, you're expanding your knowledge and your mindset, and you're applying the same, even though you're applying it to like one specific thing, it's going to have that overflow kind of effect on everything else. So I would say, I mean, I have those as my clients right now, those categories, but it's ever evolving and it's ever changing.
Of course.
I mean, it was amazing within that was made by, I think I was approached to write the book in like September of that year. I mean, and they always say, like, you have to take action. Action is important in mindset and growth, because it is, right? Taking action like really is the catalyst for things happening, manifesting. And I did within months. I mean, I started sharing my story publicly. I just started doing lives on Facebook about my story because I had never shared it. And I started just getting amazing feedback from anybody and everybody that I was, were watching my lives. People, like I said, I had guys who were messaging me privately and saying, thank you so much for sharing this. I was assaulted when I was in the service. And I think for men, it's even harder for them to talk about because.
Oh, yeah.
So, I know how it felt as a woman because I had such a masculine job and I was living in my masculine energy. And there's a difference. I don't like the word toxic masculinity because it's not really, not that it's not a thing, but I think people label that too much. Like, it's not that it's masculine energy isn't toxic. We all have it and we all need it.
We all, exactly.
Balance, that being equally balanced in your feminine and your masculine energy.
Right.
For me, I was living so much
in your masculine energy. Yeah.
That I had no feminine energy showing up, which was why I was just so, angry and stuff. But yeah, so within months, I'm sharing my story. I got asked to co-author the book that I co-authored.
And tell us the name of the book and where we can find it.
Yeah, it's called She Did It. And like I said, it's co-authored. It features myself and 19 others, so 20 total female entrepreneurs. And basically, we just got our own chapter. And so, we're able to share our story and share how we found our path into, being a female coach or a female business owner. All of us have different backgrounds and things, and just kind of insight into other, empowering other women.
Right.
I mean, of course, it's for men too, but really empowering other women and uplifting them and taking that step into running their own business and working for themselves or doing whatever that they find passion with. And it's on Amazon Kindle, it's on Amazon. I have links too, which I believe I have in the stuff for you, but I can get you those links.
Absolutely. So tell our audience where they can find you if they need you for NLP. They want to know more about your Deadlift Diva company, or they need you for speaking engagements. Where can people find you?
So I have obviously my Facebook page, Meghann Trapp. I have my personal page, and then all of my information is listed on there as well. But Meghann Trapp Coaching is my business Facebook page, as well as my Instagram. Same thing with LinkedIn, Meghann Trapp. Of course, once my daughter's born, I will be kicking things back up with speaking events. That's how I actually found, which was really cool, is because it was really kind of intimidating at first, like going and speaking to any kind of military unit, like what, it was a little,
you think intimidating?
What's the word? It was, when I originally thought about it, I was like, I don't want to be on stage speaking, like sharing my story. And
oh, girl, I'd own the stage. I'd be walking up and down, strutting my stuff. I'd be like, yeah, y'all better listen to what I got to say.
Well, it's funny because I think I felt that in the beginning, and then I shifted it to what you just said. And it was one of the girls who was in my NLP practitioner with me. And before any of this had even manifested, she said to me, she just looked right at me and she said, your story is powerful. I see you on stage in front of like hundreds, if not thousands of people sharing this story. I'm like, it's important.
Yeah.
I mean, because this stuff is still going on in the military, and it is important. It's not just about sexual assault. I mean, it's mental health as well.
Yes.
Because it hits on, the way that I was treated and targeted for my mental health. When I was never on medication. I was deemed fit for duty, and yet look what happened to me.
Yeah.
And it's important to share because, there is suicide is still huge.
It is
huge everywhere, but especially in the military.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for telling us your story, and sharing, because, we packed a lot in there, but I think that your story is important even now. And maybe, I would love to think of a future in the military for our younger women where this isn't an issue. And if it does happen, it's dealt with immediately.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I think as long as the military is the way it is right now, that's not going to happen. But Meghann, thank you so much for being a guest today.
Yes,
and I hope that when are you due?
I'm due in just a little over a month. I'm due June 21st.
Oh my
goodness. My birthday. I know.
When is your birthday?
June 21st.
I'm June 24th.
Oh my gosh.
June babies rock. June babies rock.
Love it.
Well, thank you so much, Meghann, again.
Yes. No, thank you so much for having me. Greatly appreciate it.
Of course. And for all of the listeners, as always, please stay safe. Take care of each other until next time. And it's never too late to start your impossible.